Good morning sa lahat. Tara, basa na tayo ng ating baptize the word. In other words, Bible Diary 2023. Today is 20 June 2025. Nandito na tayo sa page ng 30 July, Sunday, 17th Sunday in Ordinary Time. That green, P is 1. Pakisabayan ako ng basa guys sa inyong Biblia. Tara na, mabilisan na. The word first reading 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 5 and verse 7 to verse 12. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night. God said, "Whatever you ask, I shall give you. Now, Lord my God, you have made me your servant, king to succeed David my father, but I am a mere youth, not knowing at all how to act. I, your servant among the people, you have chosen a people so vast that it cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant therefore a listening heart to judge your people and to distinguish between good and evil. For who is able to give judgment for this vast people of yours?" The Lord was pleased by Solomon's request. So God said to him, "Because you asked for this, you did not ask for a long life for yourself, nor for riches, nor for the life of your enemies, but you asked for discernment to know what is right. I now do as your request. I give you a heart so wise and discerning that there has never been anyone like you until now, nor after you will there be anyone to equal you." Second reading, Romans chapter 8 verse 28 to verse 30. Brothers and sisters, we know that all things work for good for those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. For those He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son, so that He might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those He predestined, He also called, and those He called, He also justified, and those He justified, He also glorified. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 13 verse 44 to verse 46. Jesus said to the crowd, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl a great price, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it." So, parang buy and sell lang. In other words, by Father Randy Flores, opinion ko yun. Isa nababasa natin. Yung camera natin, pagpasensya na guys, nag-blurred na naman siya. Wala, ayoko bumili ng cellphone na. Kaya tinatyagaan ko na yung iba kong cellphone talaga. In other words, by Father Randy Flores, SBD Das Parish Priest, Sacred Heart Parish Shrine, Kamuning, Quezon City. What is wisdom? In my class in Old Testament literature, a course that I have been teaching since 1999, I tell my students to have this one as a working definition: practical knowledge of the ways of life and of the world based on experience. The definition came from Gerhard von Rad, a well-known biblical scholar in the 60s. What Solomon had asked from God, to put simply then, is common sense rather than riches, honor, and long life. In the Bible, wisdom alias common sense is founded on the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, is a favorite teaching of the Old Testament sages. The reign of King Solomon in the first book of Kings ended in a catastrophe. The historian in 1 Kings 11, the last chapter in the Solomon cycle, chapters 1 to 11. Meron siyang dash eh. Kaya ang baso ko sa dash is 2. Ay, sorry. Ang hirap na naman kasi ilipat. Narrates the deep turmoil in the kingdom. Solomon has become the #1 idolater. He even leads the building of worship places in Jerusalem for Chemosh and Moloch, two of the detestable gods of the Gentiles. Kasi nga, ang daming asawa ni Solomon, tapos sumusunod siya sa mga asawa niya kung saan sumasamba sa mga Diyos-Diyosan, diba? In the prophetic books, the sin of idolatry is deeply connected with the violation of mishpat or social justice. Solomon has built his kingdom, increased his wealth, and cemented his power at the expense of the weak and the poor. He imposed heavy taxation on the people and resorted to curb or forced labor. Kita mo nga guys, yung tax is noong araw pa talaga yan ini-impose. So, huwag na magreklamo. Kung sa panahon nga ni Solomon, mayroong heavy taxation eh. Kaya sila siguro nakabuild ng talagang napakalaking kingdom, diba? The historian's judgment on the behavior of the king is harsh but true. Solomon did what was evil, hara in Hebrew, in the sight of the Lord, and he was not a wholehearted follower of the Lord as his father David had been. Verse 8. Consequently, the Lord is now furious at Solomon, allows rebellion in the king's court, and pronounces a curse on the fate of Solomon's kingdom. I will surely tear the kingdom from you and give it to your servant. Verse 11. Right away, the curse fulfills its way into the kingdom, which was split into two after Solomon's death. What happened to the wisdom of Solomon? He was not wise after all. Wisdom then is not just technical knowledge, administrative skill, increase of wealth, nor the preservation of power. Since it is a divine gift, wisdom necessarily involves a deep commitment with the God of Israel, in which the promotion of social justice, mishpat, is an essential demand. That is why the sages in the Old Testament kept on reminding their learners that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. 31 July Monday, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, open parenthesis M close parenthesis, 17th week in ordinary time. That white comma P is 1. The word first reading, Exodus chapter 32 verse 15 to verse 24, verse 30 to verse 34. May laktaw siya. So, balikan nyo na lang yung video guys pagka hindi nyo makuha. Ulitin ko na lang, Exodus chapter 32, verse 15 to verse 24, verse 30 to verse 34. Moses then turned and came down the mountain with the two tablets of the commandments in his hands, tablets that were written in both sides, front and back, tablets that were made by God, having inscriptions on them that were engraved by God himself. Now, when Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moses, "That sounds like a battle in the camp." But Moses answered, "It does not sound like cries of victory, nor does it sound like cries of defeat. The sounds that I hear are cries of revelry." As he drew near the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing. With that, Moses' wrath flared up, so that he threw the tablets down and broke them on the base of the mountain. Taking the calf they had made, he fused it in the fire and then ground it down to powder, which he scattered on the water and made the Israelites drink. Moses asked Aaron, "What did these people ever do to you that you should lead them into so grave a sin?" Aaron replied, "Let not my Lord be angry. You know well enough how prone the people are to evil. They said to me, 'Make us a God to be our leader.' For the man Moses who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him. So I told them, 'Let anyone who has gold jewelry take it off.' They gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and this calf came out." Kasi ilang gabi at ilang araw doon si Moses sa mountain, 'di ba? 40 days and 40 nights. Kaya ayun, na inip siguro yung mga tauhan niya, yung mga sakop niyang Israelites, kaya ganyan. Gumawa sila ng panibagong Diyos-Diyosan. Ginawa niyang Diyos-Diyosan yung calf. Ano yan guys, mga jewelry nila, sinayang lang nila, tapos linagay sa fire, nagiging calf na. On the next day, ano lang yan ha, ang figure lang niya is calf, pero hindi totoong calf. Kumbaga sa ano yung galing sa ginto nagforma siyang calf. On the next day, Moses said to the people, "You have committed a grave sin. I will go up to the Lord, then perhaps I may be able to make atonement for your sin." So Moses went back to the Lord and said, "This people has indeed committed a grave sin in making a god of gold for themselves. If you would only forgive their sin, if you will not, then strike me out of the book that you have written." The Lord answered him, "Only who has sinned against me will I strike out of my book. Now go and lead the people whither I have told you. My angel will go before you. When it is time for me to punish, I will punish them for their sin." Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 13, verse 31 to verse 35. Jesus proposed another parable to the crowds. "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a person took and sowed in the field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, yet when full grown, it is the largest of plants. It becomes a large bush, and the birds of the sky come and dwell in its branches." Ang init na, guys. He spoke to them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of wheat flour until the whole batch was leavened." All these things Jesus spoke to the crowds in parables. He spoke to them only in parables to fulfill what had been said through the prophet. "I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce what has lain hidden from the foundation of the world." In other words, by Father Patricio de los Reyes, SVD, das Holy Name, University, Tagbilaran City. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, whose memorial we celebrate today, composed the spiritual exercises, also popularly known as the Ignatian spirituality. The exercises, or the reflection modules, have helped people open their eyes and hearts to God's realities and to God's presence in their lives. He sowed the seed of the kingdom of God in the hearts and soul of people who experience His spiritual exercises. Through the spiritual exercises, the person is introduced slowly, almost quietly, to God's presence, the forgiveness of God, the compassion of God, the will of God, and the all-encompassing love of God. Through this experience, the person subtly receives the revelation that she is called and chosen. She is made to feel that ba't ganun? Pabalik-balik. Ito ulitin ko ulit, ha. She is made to feel that she is someone special in the kingdom of God. Slowly, she becomes more and more aware of the plan of God. Bahala na kayo mag-intindi, guys. Redundant masyado yung he tsaka she. The kingdom of God does not force itself into people's consciousness. It subtly enters into every consciousness and slowly, gently influences the human soul with the divine mentality and worldview. The kingdom of God should not be a threat to people of goodwill. It is only threatening to those whose values oppose the kingdom values. The kingdom of God is easily and deeply felt, but slowly and gently in the examine of one's conscience, and make it a practice to thank God every night before going to sleep and be enveloped by the goodness and compassion of God. Hanggang dito na lang, guys. Bye everyone. God bless us.